Writing, a variant equals, document, ID equals, 61842, he pretended to be her husband for 5 minutes, then the billionaire wanted it to be real the moment Ethan Carter slipped a simple wedding ring onto his finger and pretended to be the husband of billionaire Ava Sterling. He believed the lie would last no more than 5 minutes. He had no idea those 5 minutes would change both of their lives forever. What began as a desperate favor inside a luxury hospital quickly became a story of sacrifice, heartbreak, hidden scars, and a love neither of them had expected to find. The richest woman in the city only needed a husband for a moment, but when she looked into the eyes of the struggling stranger standing beside her, something inside her refused to let him disappear. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that one good deed can change a life, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to _Moments Hub for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Ethan was an ordinary mechanic who spent his days repairing broken engines and his nights caring for his younger sister after losing both parents years earlier. His clothes were simple, his apartment was small, and every paycheck disappeared before the month ended. Yet despite his hardships, he had something many wealthy people lacked. He never walked away from someone asking for help. His kindness had become his greatest strength, even though it had never brought him fortune. On the other side of the city lived Ava Sterling, the youngest billionaire to inherit one of the country's largest technology companies. Newspapers admired her success, investors respected her intelligence, but very few knew the loneliness hiding behind the glamorous photographs. After years of betrayal by business partners and family members interested only in her fortune, Ava trusted almost no one. Her world was surrounded by luxury, but completely empty of genuine affection. Everything changed on a rainy afternoon when Ethan rushed his injured sister to one of the city's finest hospitals after a traffic accident. As he waited outside the emergency room praying she would recover, he noticed a woman standing nearby, visibly shaken despite wearing an elegant business suit. She looked calm on the outside, but her trembling hands revealed the panic she was desperately trying to hide. Ava's beloved grandfather had suffered a severe heart attack. Doctors feared he had only a few minutes before emergency surgery. His final request before entering the operating room was painfully simple. He wanted to meet Ava's husband one last time. For years she had lied to him, pretending she had married because she never wanted him to worry about her being alone. Now that harmless lie had become impossible to maintain. Her assistant searched desperately for a solution, but no one was willing to participate in such an unbelievable request. Time was running out. Then Ava's eyes met Ethan's. She saw a tired man comforting his frightened sister instead of thinking about himself. Something told her he could be trusted. She approached him with an offer that sounded completely absurd. She explained everything honestly and begged him to pretend to be her husband for only 5 minutes. Ethan stared in disbelief. He had never spoken to a billionaire before, let alone imagine pretending to be married to one. At first he refused. Lying to an elderly man felt wrong. But when Ava quietly admitted she only wanted to give her grandfather peace before surgery, Ethan saw not a billionaire, but a granddaughter terrified of losing the only family member who had truly loved her. He agreed. Inside the hospital room, Ethan gently held Ava's hand while introducing himself as her husband. Her grandfather smiled with tears in his eyes, believing his granddaughter had finally found someone who loved her. The old man's worried face relaxed for the first time that day. He thanked Ethan for taking care of Ava and whispered that wealth meant nothing unless it was shared with someone who truly cared. Those words struck Ethan deeply. The surgery began moments later. 5 minutes had ended. But Ava could not bring herself to let Ethan walk away without thanking him properly. She offered him a generous amount of money, enough to erase every financial problem he had ever faced. Ethan quietly refused. He explained that helping someone in pain should never come with a price. He wished her grandfather a full recovery, shook her hand politely, and returned to his sister's hospital room. For the first time in many years, Ava encountered someone completely uninterested in her fortune. Days passed, but Ethan's kindness remained in her thoughts. She found herself wondering how someone with so little could possess such a rich heart. Curious, she quietly investigated his life. Instead of finding hidden ambitions or greed, she discovered a man working overtime to pay medical bills, volunteering at a neighborhood youth center on weekends, and secretly repairing elderly neighbors' cars without charging them. Meanwhile, Ethan believed he would never see Ava again. He was wrong. A week later, Ava appeared unexpectedly at his small repair garage. She claimed her expensive sports car needed servicing, although it had nothing wrong with it. She simply wanted another excuse to meet the man who had restored something she thought had disappeared forever, her faith in people. Their worlds could not have been more different. Ethan preferred homemade dinners while Ava attended million-dollar business events. He valued honesty over appearances. She had spent years hiding her true emotions behind carefully rehearsed smiles. Yet every meeting slowly erased the invisible walls separating them. As their friendship grew, so did the criticism surrounding Ava. Board members warned that associating with an ordinary mechanic would damage the company's image. Social media mocked Ethan, calling him a gold digger despite the fact he had never accepted a single gift from Ava. Reporters followed them everywhere, hoping to expose another billionaire romance built on money. The pressure became overwhelming. Ethan decided the only way to protect Ava was to leave. Without saying goodbye, he accepted a repair job in another town and disappeared. When Ava discovered he was gone, she realized the painful truth. Somewhere between that fake marriage in the hospital and countless conversations over coffee, she had genuinely fallen in love. Months later, Ava's grandfather made a full recovery. The first question he asked after returning home was whether Ethan was treating his granddaughter well. This time Ava could no longer lie. She confessed everything, expecting disappointment. Instead, the old man smiled. He admitted he had suspected the truth the moment Ethan walked into the hospital room. But he had also noticed something far more important. During those 5 minutes, Ethan looked at Ava with sincere concern instead of admiration for her wealth. That expression could never be faked. Encouraged by her grandfather's words, Ava searched tirelessly for Ethan. She finally found him rebuilding an old community workshop where teenagers could learn mechanical skills for free. He had invested every extra dollar into helping young people avoid the difficult childhood he had experienced. Standing quietly in the doorway, Ava realized she had never admired anyone more. She didn't arrive with lawyers, contracts, or expensive gifts. She arrived with honesty. She admitted that pretending to be husband and wife for 5 minutes had become the happiest memory of her life. She confessed she no longer wanted a pretend marriage. She wanted a real future with the man who had shown her that true wealth could never be measured by bank accounts. Ethan looked into her eyes and saw not a billionaire, but the frightened granddaughter from that rainy afternoon. The woman who had trusted a stranger during the hardest moment of her life. This time, when he reached for her hand, there was no acting. No audience. No deadline. Only two hearts choosing each other freely. Together they transformed the abandoned workshop into one of the largest vocational training centers in the region, giving thousands of struggling young people a second chance at life. Ava continued leading her company with compassion instead of fear, while Ethan remained exactly who he had always been. A humble man whose greatest achievement was never becoming rich, but remaining kind. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that genuine love begins with kindness rather than wealth, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to _moments_hub_. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories like this to life. Special request tell us in the comments, do you believe one small act of kindness can completely change someone's destiny? Years later, whenever anyone asked Ava how she met her husband, she would smile quietly at the memory of a rainy hospital hallway. The greatest love story of her life had not started with a luxurious wedding or a glamorous proposal. It had started with 5 borrowed minutes, one selfless stranger, and a simple act of kindness that proved the most valuable hearts are often found in the most ordinary people.